What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another dope edition of Define Your Legacy. All right. And before we tap into today's episode, just want to shout out the online store of Define Your Legacy. All right. Which can be found in the link of the description of this episode. All right. T-shirts, long sleeves, hoodies, and a whole lot more. All right. So feel free to check out the link in the description of this episode. All right. But just like that, we're going to jump right in. All right. Today's guest, we have Solae on the show. How are you? Welcome.
You know what, sir? I am honored to be here. I really am. Like I've heard all the people you had on here before me, and I'm like, man, if I'm here and we're speaking about this, I'm in great company. So I'm excited. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. And that's always an honor. You know, when you ask someone to come on the show and then you say, you listen to other people and then you still say yes. That means a lot.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
Sometimes, a lot of topics and episodes and certain shows, they may, not talk about wholesome and beneficial things, but to know that that was your approval, I definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, look, I mean, a lot of people don't get where you've gotten to in the podcasting realm. Like I've done other podcasts, and to get to the pinnacle where you've gotten to, like, first of all, for you to do it and continue to produce it, like that's a lot behind the scenes. So kudos to you, man. I'm for real. Like, seriously.
That means a lot. That means a lot.
Yeah.
It's definitely it takes time, a lot of consistency, and things of that nature. So it's definitely a grind. But I always say I think a lot of people should have podcasts, for a variety of reasons, what I'm saying, in terms of the networking and things like that. But it definitely means a lot. I appreciate that shout out. But I'm gonna give you your flowers too, right? I want to make sure.
Okay.
So if you could, right, just introduce yourself and tell the world what it is that you do and the value that you bring.
Sure. So my name is Solae Dehvine. I'm an author, entrepreneur. I've done a lot of different businesses as an entrepreneur, and most recently, I'm an independent insurance adjuster. So as of lately, I've been providing just content and information about the insurance adjusting industry and how lucrative it is and how people can get into it without having a degree, and you can make six figures very quickly, like almost, and I'm not going to say instantly, but it's very quick. And just the outpouring I've got from it, but really a lot of things that I've gotten on podcasts about or done podcasts for is my publishing and being an author. So this is really monumentous to talk to you about adjusting. Usually we're talking about books or a fictional character or something. So this is really big for me.
Yeah. And even hearing that, right, when you mentioned insurance adjusting, off rip, I heard you don't need a degree.
Yeah.
Right, very lucrative and quickly. I mean, obviously, the last part quickly can be,
subjective.
Right, just off, right. But still, for the most part, in comparison to others, right? So, with those three things, do you feel? And again, we'll jump into what exactly that is. But do you feel like anyone could be able to be a part of this industry?
The insurance adjuster,
like I said, that wasn't a layup. That wasn't like, of course,
You said I don't want to say like anybody could do it, right? Because while it's a low barrier to get in and it's a simple situation, it's not necessarily easy. The hours can be grueling, the circumstances, what you're dealing with. But I went to university. I went to college. There's a lot of things that are a lot harder than being an insurance adjuster, and so I think that there's a lot of people, if they were more aware of it, they could take the skills that they're using to work and do something a lot harder and come into this industry and excel. So can anybody do it? I have a video that's saying somebody at Walmart could leave Walmart and go do it. There's truck drivers that have left the truck and went to be insurance adjusters. You're going to meet a lot of interesting people in this field. And so, I think a lot of people could do it.
So what exactly is it? What is insurance adjusting?
So insurance adjusting, insurance companies, right? Who do you have as your insurance company, if you don't mind me asking?
State Farm.
State Farm. Okay, State Farm. That's great, because State Farm is one of the biggest carriers in the country. They hold the most policies. They have the most customers. So State Farm is mandated by the Department of Insurance. Every state has a Department of Insurance, and they tell State Farm, hey, you can't touch these claims. You need a licensed person to touch these claims and mandate if this claim is going to be paid or not. So it's kind of a checks and balances. So State Farm and every other insurance carrier is mandated to have a licensed adjuster look over the claim. And that's my position, to and take the information from you. Let's say you were in an accident, God forbid, and you had a claim on your vehicle. You would call me, give me the details, and then I would determine things and settle with you per your policy. That would be my job. That's the adjuster. But what a lot of people don't know is that a lot of adjusters don't necessarily work for the carrier. Like State Farm is the biggest insurance carrier in the country, and it's hard to staff for regular claims. And then when you have a catastrophe hit or a tornado or something like that. So in a way of being efficient, this is the way the industry has run for years and years, is that they kind of outsource this to other companies to help them find adjusters to pull them in. And that's where I explain the strategy on getting into adjusting through the independent field.
Got you. Is there any like traveling involved? Like, I'm just curious, where does this all take place?
So pre-COVID, back when I first got in 2017, you had to travel as a field adjuster, and they have what you call a desk adjuster, which is somebody that works inside of an office, sort of a call center situation, if you will. So the field adjuster and the desk adjuster back in 2017, they both had to travel. For instance, on my first deployment, it was in Atlanta. The storm hit Florida, but they kind of will station you somewhere near where the storm happened at, even if you're working inside. So I had to go from my home in Missouri to Atlanta, Georgia to work, even though I was in a desk and I was working inside. Now, post-COVID, you can work from home as a desk adjuster. And that's where I feel like things have ballooned and the opportunity has really picked up in the industry.
And that's got to be pretty convenient. Right?
Yeah.
That shift of being able to work from home, as opposed to traveling, right?
Man, let me tell you, my first deployment, I'm so excited about this because my first deployment, like I said, I had to leave my home, and the entrepreneur in me was kind of just looking at the opportunity, but I left a full-time job that had benefits. It wasn't really going anywhere, but this was secure money. And then I had to take funds that I saved up from my businesses to go work this position where I didn't know how long it was going to last. It was 21 days, but I made $9,000 that first deployment. And that's as much as I would have made working 3 months at the job I had. So it's just, you had to take a lot more risk back then to get in. Now it's just, you go in your living room and you can make that type of money. It's amazing.
Yeah. But you said that was your first deal, right?
That was my first one. Yep.
So how was that mindset shift, right? Or just with this specific industry, knowing that you made more money in 3 weeks doing that instead of if you would have worked 3 months at your job?
Well, you see, that's what got me into the industry anyway, is that I've been an entrepreneur since 2010. And for 5 years or so previous to becoming an adjuster, I was working full-time as an author. So every week I'm releasing a book and I'm writing, and I had this really intense writing schedule, and I was kind of burnt out on publishing, if you will. I was looking for something that was going to give me the money to put into my publishing and into my content, because I write books that have a lot of characters and a lot of different scenes. And I was talking to directors, and they were telling me, like, if you want to create this movie, this is a great script, but you're going to have to put some money behind it. So I'm wondering, well, where is this money going to come from? I'm making money as an author, but that's the money I live off of. It's not enough money for me to go pour $20,000, $30,000 into a project. So I was burnt out, and I was looking for more money to progress my projects. And a friend told me about insurance adjusting and explained it to me in a way where I could do it and still kind of have that entrepreneurial spirit about it and make a lot of money, and then be able to take time off if I wanted to, and then go pursue my entrepreneurial endeavors. So that was gold for me. I already had that mindset getting in. Like, I already knew this was the plan and this was the goal. So getting that first deployment was like a dream come true. It was just like, we trained for this and we made it. Here's the goal. And so I was ready.
Yeah. And so you mentioned, we trained for this, but how was the training process with that?
Training process to become an IA, or the training process as far as like an entrepreneurial mindset like that? The IA part. Okay, so it's different now, because back when I started, and I like to say the difference is because it's just night and day the way it used to be. So pre-COVID, the preparation is you could still do the course online with Adjuster Pro, who I advocate for because that's who I use. You go to them and you can do the course online. It's a 40-hour course, but it's a little difficult. I'm not going to lie to you. You do that online, but when you get licensed, you find out soon that you need to get certifications with the state farms, with Geico doesn't have a certification. Liberty Mutual, these different carriers have certifications, and you have to get these certifications to get the jobs. But the certifications are only offered certain times of the year. They're only offered in certain locations. And before COVID, you had to physically go travel to these locations. So I had to go to Dallas 3 separate times to take certifications and do testing. And so I could even have an opportunity to get into the industry. And you don't get paid to do these certs. They're pretty difficult. You got to study for them. And in some cases, I think I actually paid to take the certs because they were all held at like banquet halls at hotels and things like that. So now post COVID, you can do all of this online.
And what did you say the name of that the course was?
So the course, it's with a company called Adjuster Pro. The website is adjusterpro.com. So it's the adjuster, all lines, claims adjuster license, and the licensing is based off the state that you live in.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So it's all kind of different prices, but that's how you start and get into the industry. Got
you.
Yeah.
And in a situation like that, like if there is a claim, you receive a call and then you just kind of have to drop everything and then go.
Scenario, like if I'm a field adjuster, if I'm like, okay.
So to your first point, I think you said you were working 9 to 5, and then you got the call, and then you said you got to go to Atlanta, I believe.
Yeah. So you got to watch the weather, right? Because at this time in 2017, it had been sort of a little bit of a drought in the industry. It hadn't been a lot of weather events, a lot of things that were kind of pulling people into the industry. So I was watching the weather, scoping the weather, and I saw that there was a Category 3 hurricane going to hit the Gulf. It was like October-ish, 2017. No, I'm sorry, 2018 is when I finally got deployed. But yeah, I watched the Weather Channel, called the IA firm, asked them if they had any opportunities. They did. They kind of tell you all the information right then and there. It's really quick. It's this much an hour. It's going to be this many days a week. We need you in Atlanta in 2 days. Can you make it? Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm in the break room. Right? I'm in the break room because I'm checking on, hurricane.gov. I see the hurricane. I'm like, shit. Excuse me. Can we?
Yeah, you know, rock out. Yeah, rock out.
I sneak out to the break room. I'm reenacting this for you. I sneak out to the break room. I'm like, hi, this is Solae. I see that there's a hurricane coming. Do you guys need any people? I'm this and that certified. Oh yeah, we got the position. It's this amount an hour. It's this, that. Can you do it? I'm like, yeah, I'll be there. All right, we're going to send you an email. And it felt fake to me. I was like, that's it? I didn't have to interview. There was none of that. So I still wasn't believing it was real. I mean, I believed it was real. It was just like, I just couldn't believe it was so simple. You're talking to somebody that went through college and universities and like, this is it. Yeah. So I got the email and I got back to my desk. I booked my flight to go to Atlanta, told my husband, and he's like, yeah, all right. Like, okay. And I went.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I laughed because it was almost like a, hell yeah, I'll take it kind of thing. Like, of course.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm trying to work backwards, right? So
okay.
Let's say, you found out there may be a hurricane on the way. And
yes.
So you made a phone call. You noticed that, and then you made a phone call.
Yeah. Okay. So I missed this couple steps. All right. So after I got licensed, you get the certifications, right? But you get the certifications by signing up with all of these small companies. We as lay people don't really know about all these small different insurance companies or, because insurance is the oldest industry in this country. So there's a lot of different money funneling through insurance. This is billions of dollars, but there's smaller companies that kind of leech onto the bigger companies, the carriers. So State Farm probably has hundreds, if not thousands of vendors that they work with to adjust and figure out and settle claims. So a lot of those vendors are what they call independent adjusting firms. Excuse me. So as an independent adjuster, I go out and I sign up with all of these firms because they have the relationship with the state farms and whatever's. So when there is a staffing opportunity, they will then look on this list of people that are qualified and they'll see me and give me a call. But if there's a storm and they just got the order in and I'm the first one on the phone, I'm getting in on this deployment.
So
That's how it is.
you didn't just wait for a call. You called them first.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I traveled to Dallas 3 times, man. Like, I'm for real about this. This is serious. Got to go for it.
Yeah.
I mean,
So moving forward, did you start to do that often, or like did you start to like, all right, every single time I see a hurricane, I'm gonna call instead of waiting?
Oh yeah. If I'm ready to work, yeah. You have to be proactive because like it's a simple get in, right? What I explained to you is very simple to get into this, but as simple as that is, there's hundreds and thousands of people that want to do this. So you have to be proactive. So it might be simple to get in, but it's still competitive.
So like, is there, I mean, I don't know if this is a question for you or not, but is there a system as to which they go about who gets chosen? Like, is there like a
you know, I'm laughing at the look of bewilderment on your face.
No. It's honestly, because you know what it really is like, as a host, as I'm sure you know as well, I'm speaking on behalf of like, the people, if you will, on behalf of people that may be new to this. So like,
I love it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure someone out there is going to be curious to like, wait, hang on. She was on break. Thought there was a hurricane. Picked up the phone, called, got the deal, and then went back, emailed her husband. And said, so just is there a priority in which people or they tend to go with first?
So yes. When you get signed up with the IA firm, you give them all your credentials, all your information. And the licensing is on a state by state level. So when I first got in, what we call a designated home state is Florida. So I can adjust for claims in Florida, but if there's a storm that hits Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, and I don't have that license, I can't touch those claims. So I need to get the licenses for the states that I know historically the information is out there that get the most claims for certain times of the year. So my first get in was hurricane season. Well, hurricane season, the states Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, that whole Gulf region, Mississippi, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina. So if you have those states, there's a high likelihood that you'll be needed. And then you want to make sure you have the certifications. You want to have the State Farm certification. There's different firms. What do we have? Allstate has a certification, USAA, the different carriers. You want to get all of those because this is a numbers game. So if you have the right numbers and they need people, the people with the most licenses and the most certs, they win. That's kind of, I'm sure they're using like an Excel spreadsheet and they're just going down the list of who meets the qualifications.
Right. You kind of have to like stand out.
If you got the most licenses, because you'll be able to help them with the most claims. And being as a numbers game, the IA firm will look good if their data looks great and they're doing all these claims because they have more people that have more licenses to help.
So is there anything that you've done to, I guess, kind of give off the vibe that like you're readily available? Like,
definitely. So when I started, I had the benefit of going to Atlanta and being in office. And I feel like that gave me a scope to see into things. When I went there, I was like a Marine. I went there with a mindset and I was real methodical about, I'm going here to network with these people. I want to get to know as many people around me. I'm getting phone numbers. I'm not being fake, but I'm really like, these are my comrades. Like, these are people that went through the same thing that I went through to get here. And I know what I went through to get here. It's like, these are some go-getters. I want to know them. So I went there with that mindset. I went there with, I'm coming early, I'm staying late, to just really kind of see, what is this about? All this information I've given you, I didn't have that when I came in. I didn't know a lot at all. I just knew it was a lot of money and it was going to be some hard work. That's all I knew. And I needed to soak it all in. So I went down there and I was just like really, really methodical. So really strategic, understanding and trying to learn a lot. And in 3 weeks, I learned a lot. And I'm glad I saw that because it's helped me now that we're working from home to understand things that a lot of people coming into the industry, unless you were in the environment and worked there, it's kind of weird that people are working from home doing this now because it's just changed it so much and opened it up. But being there helped me learn and do things on the level that I'm doing it now.
Okay. And I know we mentioned, the hurricane portion of it, right? But are there any other, I guess, events to be on the lookout for?
Sure. Yeah, definitely. So in December, there was something called a derecho. Derecho is a hurricane over land. So it can be a huge wind event, or it can be what it was in December, which was a band of tornadoes that spanned from the south on up through the Midwest up into Minnesota. So these tornadoes near me, they even brought down an Amazon warehouse. And if you've seen an Amazon warehouse, this isn't like a, twigs, this is a
Yeah.
cement building. Um, so that called for a lot of deployments, and I'm pretty sure those people are still working today. What's this, April? Yeah. Things like the bands of tornadoes that I spoke about, or like, I think this was 2021. There was a winter storm in Texas and in the South, very unexpected. And that brought a lot of deployments. I was on that deployment working commercial claims, because you think water mitigation claims, which is pipe bursts and things like that, and on a level of a residential on up to commercial buildings and apartment complexes. So wildfires, I'm just naming things off, wildfires in California. And I mean, it's maybe not things that are local to you, but if you start looking into weather patterns and regulations, it's like there's something that's going on in this country all the time. Wildfires in the West. Arizona gets monsoons. There's a monsoon season in Arizona, which is crazy. I didn't know about until I got into this. But it's like sort of coinciding with the Mexico the hurricanes kind of coming up that coast and hitting that region. What other events? I think those are really the major ones that I named. Earthquakes, of course. Earthquakes are big, but we haven't had any big ones, thankfully. So yeah, all kind of events that will bring up the need for adjusters.
Okay. And even in talking about the variety of and the different events, right?
Yeah.
Going back to, I think you said you started back in 2017.
Yes.
What's one thing that you know now that you wish you knew back in 2017?
Oh, this is a good one. Go bigger sooner. So I'm working with someone now, and I think she's a little younger than me, but she has this designation, this insurance designation that's pretty high. And she told me that she got it not too long after she got in the industry. Well, when I got in, I think I was kind of like not paddling. I knew that it was real, but it was just like I've already invested so much money at this point. Like I've traveled around the country, I've spent thousands of dollars on this. I'm just trying to get it to my first deployment. Meanwhile, she jumped completely in, went after this high designation immediately. And I'm not saying it's hindered me, but if you have this designation, you're pretty sure to get promoted very quickly in the industry. And it's just like, I think sometimes we kind of put our foot in just to test the water when really we should just like really, really get in. So I'd say getting certifications and getting deeper into the industry in the beginning. But I didn't even know about those designations back then. So that's another thing.
Yeah. I mean, it happens. And the reason why
Yeah.
I think that's, the case with everyone. You always, as you go through stuff, you learn more and more. Right.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Do you have any, I guess, that's one thing I'm sure you said you wish you would have known. But do you have any, I guess, regrets over the course of the 5-year journey in this point?
Oh, you know what? No, I don't. I did way more than what I thought I was gonna do. Initially when I came in, the direction I was given was auto adjusting was easier. So in my mindset at that time was, I want to just do something easy, get in, get this money, then I'm gonna get back to the other projects that I'm doing. That was my original mindset. But auto wasn't giving me the opportunities that I wanted. So I thought I was hearing from a lot of people that property, which is what I do now, property adjusting, was harder to get into. There's more tests, there's more things. And I just pushed myself past that, even though in the beginning I said I wasn't going to go that far with it. And usually when I tell myself I'm not going to go that far, it doesn't require all that. It does require me to go that extra step and excel. So I've done that. So I put a lot more out there than what I thought I was. So no regrets.
Okay. Do you need or have you experienced like having a team in this type of field? Because a lot of businesses, and when I guess you're the manager at the top, you have members that do other things for you. But is this something that you feel? I mean, obviously, I know the word independent.
Yeah.
Title, but is this something that you really feel someone solo can get active with and start with?
Oh, okay. So let me make sure I understand your question. You're saying, do you need a team to do this?
Yeah. Like, do you think that it's is it required for someone to have multiple people get started with it? Like, can you really just be a team of one and get started?
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. It really is a solo thing, but what's even more unique about it, I think, is that there are husband and wife teams in this industry where they go out in the field, where there's a lot more money to be made in the field as a field adjuster, where maybe one spouse climbs the roofs and inspects, and the other spouse does the estimating. So you can definitely be a team of one and be out here and doing different projects and getting different opportunities, or you can have a team of someone else with you, a relative or whatever, and get major money if you guys come together.
Yeah. And do you feel though, I mean, in that example with, couples and, actually being at actual properties, do you feel like there's a big difference between being a desk adjuster and being someone who's actually out in the field?
Definitely. Definitely. So now we're post-COVID, right? And desk adjusters are really, really at home. So it's even more comfortable now. Before you had to be in a cubicle in a building 60 hours a week, maybe even more than that, maybe 7 days a week, right? So that's uncomfortable, commute and all that. But the field adjusters, they still have to go out in the field and work. And I think their job may have gotten, I'm gonna say may have gotten a little bit harder for them, as far as communication wise and different things that they may have to do or be asked to do with COVID and all of that. But they make a lot of money as well. But there are major differences and takes from it. I think to be a field adjuster, you got to be a different breed. You're out there in hurricane, tornado conditions. Like, think about, have you ever been in a major storm or anything like that before? Like a tornado?
I have not. Well,
thankfully, that's great.
Yeah, fortunately, I have not yet.
Yeah. Okay. So after a hurricane, internet connection is spotty. There's really no electricity in a lot of these places. The roads may be destroyed, run off. There's debris everywhere. There may be some kind of hazardous waste that could be around from the moving of things with the wind and the water. There may be pests, crocodiles, fire ants, different things. There may be nails, so that's hazardous. Them stepping on things. I'm just naming like different things that have happened. And then also just it's hot usually in these situations. It's uncomfortable, the conditions. So they're going through a lot, but they make a nice amount of money for it as well. It's a lot of stress though. It's a lot of stress in adjusting, but I think like I don't want people to think like this is really simple. I make it sound very easy, I think.
Don't worry. There is going to be a shift on my end in terms of the questions, because like if you notice, all of this in the beginning was about like what it is, you explaining it, the good side, the money and all that.
Yeah.
But my follow-up, was going to be talking to me about the stress that may come along with it, / the things that people may not see on social media. Because I've seen when you're doing it every day, you really are experiencing the good and the bad.
Oh yeah.
So what are some things that you might feel may be a little stressful in the industry?
So when I speak, I speak mainly from the position of the positions I've had as a desk adjuster. I can speak a little bit to the field, but I don't want to speak for those guys because they got a different thing going on. But it's okay. You got the call now, right? And you're happy getting the money. I know it's coming, but now you have to perform, and you have to perform every day, because now we're talking 6. When I was in Atlanta, we actually were working 7 days a week. I only got 1 day off towards the end actually of the deployment. We ended up getting 1 day off, and then actually 2 days off it ended up being somehow. That doesn't normally happen. But yeah, it's grueling, to show up, be your best self, to be on your numbers, to be empathetic to people going through this catastrophe situation. And then you're managing multiple claims. And as an IA, you're there for a reason. You're getting paid a lot of money for a reason, because you're helping out with this huge situation. All right, you show up at State Farm, they've got 80,000 claims. Your team gets whatever you get, and you may have 40, 50 claims one day. You got to touch all of them with a certain amount of time. It's constraints like that. And it's going to be hard, and you can complain about it being hard, but that's the job. That's why you're here. So just showing up and being consistent like that, you're going to go through a lot of things. And I'm just talking about the job. We haven't even talked about your life. You're still a human being. You got to live, eat. You might have kids. There's people that have kids. You got a spouse. For me, a lot of people, they have other businesses too that they're trying to run on top of being an IA. So it's all of those things. That's where the stress comes in at. If you're not grounded and really dedicated to this and ready to turn it into a lifestyle, you're not going to last. So that's the hard part about it.
Yeah. And, you bring up a good point too, because I mentioned the stress, but even deeper than that, the mental toll. So then day, like you said, money can be made, right? You get to go to different cities and things like that, but the mental toll in terms of having to deal with people, because it's still insurance, right? Like usually when someone needs insurance, it's probably not a good thing.
Oh no.
Yeah, like it's not, you don't get excited for something like that.
Yeah.
So are there any mental hurdles that you feel like someone would have to deal with?
Yeah, these aren't like, I mean, people on their best day, they're going through a lot. You might hear some really sad stories. Somebody may have passed away in the situation that brought about this claim. There's definitely mental hurdles. And I tell every adjuster, I would invest some of that money that you're getting into getting a therapist, to somebody to speak to. I think all entrepreneurs should go to therapy, period, because you're dealing with something where you're kind of alone on an island, and you're going to need someone that's really tuned into you that can help you and kind of you bounce things off of, that's just here for you. And if you're making this much money, you can afford to spend $150, $200 a week, whatever it is for therapy. That's going to take you a lot further in your career to help you get through some mental blocks and some situations that may come up. But yeah, there's some definitely mental hurdles. And I think I make it sound so easy because I don't tell like the things that I had to go through to get to this point. Like I'm just talking a little bit about, okay, professionally what I went through. But I've seen my parents like go through the same thing when I was younger, of traveling around the country, getting different certifications and trying to make it in industries. So I've seen this done and I've been a part of it. So it's been sort of easy for me to turn that mechanism inside myself on to get this focus. But that's hard for a lot of people that haven't seen it. So I think that's the thing, is being consistent and being habitual. A lot of people can't show up 60 hours a week, 6-7 days a week and do it. That's the hard part.
Yeah. And we talk about hustle and being consistent, 60 hours, 6 or 7 days a week. So it's not a typical 9 to 5.
No, sir. Not at all. Not at all. Not something you can do part-time. It's going to be, and I say 10 hours a week, 6 days a week, right? That depends on the claim load. If the claim load gets really high, like in 2020, there were so many storms. It was just like I had the Weather Channel playing as I was working, and I'd look up and it'd be another storm, like day after day after day. So it gets like that. They may say it's mandatory that we all work 7 days a week. Instead of 10 hours a day, we need to work 12 hours, and we're getting paid for it, and you really can't say no, because you'll be kind of sent home in a situation. Sent home. You're already working from home, but that'll be the end of your deployment, because they have certain standards of what they want, but they're going to pay you for it.
So you say deployment, but if you're working from home, is that?
Yeah. So deployment is an old industry term. Before we were working from home, before it actually meant you physically had to go somewhere. But now it means you're just on that assignment, whether you're working from home or actually in person. So I say deployment because that's just what the industry uses. Gotcha. And I want people to get used to the industry terms, because you can't come into adjusting and make it what you want it to be. It's like you have to conform to what the industry is talking about. And that's the term they use.
Gotcha. Just want to make sure everyone was clear on that part.
Yeah.
Were there ever any moments?
It's confusing.
Yeah, just a little for some.
Mm-hmm.
Were there ever any moments where you were like, yeah, I'm definitely going to keep doing this? Like for some people, it's that first deal. For some people, it's like, wow, yeah, I can never go back to,
I think it was. I'm laughing because the things that were going through my head on that first deployment, like I'm looking at the people around me. I'm seeing that a lot of people, these people aren't focused. We're in Atlanta. So think about a group of people. It's maybe 200 people on this floor. They're all making 6 figures because we're all bringing in 2,000, 2,500, some of them 3,000 a week, right? And everybody's doing everything you can think of. It's people wearing Louboutins to work. It's people leaving work in the middle of the day to go to the mall and buy clothes. I see these people are not focused at all. And I was just like, man, if I stay focused in this, I'm gonna sweep these people. I'm gonna stay in this industry and I'll get to the status of a trainer, and a trainer makes double what I make. I found that out going on the deployment. And so I'm like, I just got to stay focused. So I guess that was the point where I was like, yeah, I could, I can do this. But there's also been a lot of points where I felt like I'm ready to be done.
I was gonna say, I mean, at the end of the day, money or not, you know, you 7 day work week, 10 hours in a day. You know, we are human.
Yeah,
so
day after day.
Yeah, you know, because to your point too, you know, yeah, that's another thing.
Yeah.
And to your point too about how a lot of entrepreneurs should consider therapy, the idea of, you know, working 10 hours in a day for 7 days a week, possibly, you never want to burn yourself out, right? So that's always something to consider as well. But of all the people that you noticed, right, for those that you know, went to the malls and started shopping and stuff, and anyone that you kind of worked with over the years, have any of them been like young or like extreme, like talking like either fresh out of high school even or fresh out of college? I don't know if there's an age requirement, right?
So there's not an age requirement necessarily. I believe you can be 18 and be an adjuster and get licensed. That's the requirement, be 18. At my deployment, the first one, I say the first one because that was the main one where I was there with a lot of group of people. So I saw the most adjusters and got a really good look at what was going on in the industry before we were all back home at home. It's an older industry. The average adjuster is 56 years old. I think my first deployment, I was 33. So I was on the younger side of the people there. As I got other deployments and other opportunities, I met people that were, you know, in their 20s, mid 20s, but for the most part, they're an anomaly. This is an old industry. And that's why I'm talking about it so much, because it's like, if I would have known about this when I came out of high school, I wouldn't have spent a bunch of money on, you know, student debt and all of that. Because you can have this opportunity and climb up the ladder and, you know, turn into a manager of a claims department very quickly if you have the goal and the gumption to do that. I think young people definitely have that energy, and they could really take over in this industry. A lot of people are retiring or, unfortunately, with the pandemic, passing away. Yeah. Just being honest.
No, I'm with you. But why do you feel that young people could take over?
I think the energy, you still have a lot of energy in you to say, okay, like for instance, the field adjuster, if I was young, I'm not saying I wouldn't go in the field now, but I'm saying like at 19, 20, to have the opportunity to make 15,000 to 30,000 a month just and be able to travel around, like I would jump on that. They probably have less debt. They don't have as many responsibilities. They may not have children that young. I think this is prime for them to get this license, not have to put a lot of money into it, not have to go into a lot of debt, and then go and make a large amount of money. You could buy a house by the time you're 25, you know, and have a real career, not just a dead-end job. Because I think these people that work at Amazon and all that, they could turn and work and do adjusting and fit right in. They have the skills and the capabilities right now.
Yeah. And so for this, it sounds like obviously there's hard work required, but at the same time, there's a good paycheck in return, right? So there's so many different industries where you might work your ass off, but you're not getting any money or real money back. So is that true? That like that's an actual good benefit from this, is the fact that even though it might be hard work, you know, you're getting taken care of.
Yeah. So this isn't like, you know, you're working. Let me think about the jobs I had in my early 20s. They were sort of dead end. I was climbing to try to get a foot into different jobs, working temp jobs at offices. Once I was a bookkeeper at a mitigation company. I worked a night shift at a hotel doing the audit. I worked in mortgage. I worked in an accounting department at an aerospace company. But these jobs, it was always a layoff. It was always we're on a hiring freeze. We can't move you up. It was just barrier after barrier after barrier. And my colleagues, I didn't have a degree. I was still going to school, but I saw they had degrees, you know. So I think a lot of young people, that's what's so frustrating when you're young, is you want a chance, you want to do something, but you don't know what to do. So you start trying to climb up and you realize, man, I'm working hard and I'm not getting paid shit. And there's bills everywhere coming in from every angle. My parents may not be taking care of you. If you're like me, there were no parents in my 20s at all. So to have that ability to say, hey, I could spend a little bit of money to invest in myself, and to put in the same work as I would if I was working at Walmart or Amazon or whatever job with someone with not necessarily a lot of education would get. I can put in that same due diligence and I can be a professional and have a career. That's saying something for less than what you would spend at a university for a semester of tuition.
But it sounds like, whether you've been doing this all your life or you reach a point where like enough is enough, but you put the money first, right? Like you prioritize making money.
Yeah. It sounds bad when you say it like that.
No. That would, well, first of all, in what way to say, you prioritize making money? That is not a bad thing at all. If anything, it's the exact opposite. That's a compliment. But my point in asking that is like, where is the motivation in that, right? Like not necessarily to, self-fulfillment, but just like, because money, as some people say often enough, is taboo within our community.
Yeah.
But at the same time, a lot of people should want to get it. So what made you, and growing up, correct me if I'm wrong, you may not have had dreams or aspirations of entering this field, but
yeah,
maybe it was the money that drove you. So where was the actual motivation in that?
So I think a lot of my husband's in the background, he's pointing to himself. So growing up, right? I watched my parents, especially my mom, go after things, and she made a lot of money, right? And once she wasn't making money, I saw the difference not only in our living, but the way people dealt with us. You'll know people when you lose the money that they thought you had. Now you don't have it, and you don't have it to spread around. People's reaction gets different. So growing up, I understood that money, trying to put a good name on it. It's a utility, definitely, and my mother always said you need to make your money work for you. And I was always trying to build up businesses or build a hustle and build up enough money to do different things, to not only invest, but to live well. And so I started trying to just hone in and be a better entrepreneur, and figuring that out. It's just like I figured out, okay, I got to be more disciplined to make this work, because nobody's coming to save me. The story might be sad, they can cry over it, and I can write a really good story for you, but nobody's coming to save me, right? So I figured out that the money needs to be used as a tool, so I need to figure out a way to get the money in the most efficient way possible. And when this opportunity came about, it was just like, man, it's go time. This is what I've been looking for. I've been looking for something that's a new challenge that gives me a lot of money, lets me be an entrepreneur. Hey, this is it. Like it was almost like a godsend. So I had been waiting for it, and I just had a battery in my back for it. So that's where it came from.
What would you say to someone that's about to get started with their journey in adjusting?
Get your life in order. Get your life in order, because this thing is going to shake it all out of you. If you have, like for instance, I'm in the trucking industry as well, or we just got out of the trucking industry, actually. We had trucks, and dealing with drivers, I understood where they were making mistakes, because it's very stressful being a driver, especially over the road truck driver, right? But I equate their job a lot to the insurance adjuster, because they work more hours, but they're driving for 60 hours a week. But I see the drivers that are successful and the drivers that aren't are the ones that make it a lifestyle. And the people that I looked to when I got in the industry, I saw that they made it a lifestyle. It was like, okay, I get up at this time, I go to work, get off work, I go to the gym, because gym energizes me. Then I go home, I do all of this, I'm in the bed by this time, and that's all they did. So I saw her working like that, one person in particular, but then I saw her in Turks and Caicos. I saw her buying her mom a house. I saw her getting a house built from the ground up. I saw her buying a new car. I know these are all material things, but this is building wealth and, legacy, like we're talking about, that's what we're here. And so I was like, okay, if that's what it takes to do it, then I'm willing to put in the work to get where they're at. I can do that.
And there's nothing wrong with that, buying material things. I think what's really important though is the order in which people buy it. So often there's a lot of pocket watching that goes on, right? Like, oh, people say, you shouldn't buy this, you shouldn't buy that. Well, the fact of the matter is, if someone is putting the work in to make enough money to not only be able to buy something, but truly be able to afford it, then it's all right.
Yeah.
And so, just throwing it out there. But so from the top, right? Like if someone if someone said, you know what, today's the day that I'm going to start my insurance adjusting journey.
Okay.
Let's walk through that, right? So step one. Watch this video.
Okay.
Number two, you would say, what was it? Go to that, what was the website? Is that
website? I'm sorry, say it again, last part.
The website, is that where you would start the website to get the?
Yeah. Well, first, if I was anybody, I would start with me. You got to follow me. I talk a lot about the insurance adjusting industry and give everybody all this information. This information I dropped some straight jewels that I had no clue about. So I started a podcast, Adjust Your Way to 100K, because there's a lot of different ways to get in this industry, and I explain and talk about all of them. But I would follow me on whatever YouTube, got the podcast, and I'm coming out with a book to kind of help people guide their journey in adjusting. But what I tell people is go to Adjuster Pro. That's the website, because you need to get licensed first. And Adjuster Pro does a good job. If you go to the site, they have these cookies that pick up on what state you're in, and they tell you the specific licensing situation for your state. That's how you start. So you start there, and then after you get your adjuster's license. So first, you take the course, right? The course does not mean you're an adjuster. You've taken the education requirement. Then you need to go apply. You've got to pay a little bit of money to the state. You got to do some fingerprinting. A little bit of paperwork has to be done. After you do that, go ahead. My bad.
I'm sorry. So after the course, who do I have to apply to?
So you're going to be applying with your state, the state that you're in, their Department of Financial Services, if your state has an adjuster's license. Like for instance, I live in Missouri. My home state does not have a license, so they do something where you designate a home state. So they have different specifications where you should pick this state over that state to be your home state. So it's really dependent on where you reside. That's the first step. So you would apply with them, do the application, get approved. Once you have that, you go and you apply with all of these independent adjusting firms. There's over 100 adjusting firms in this country that you apply with. You get on their rosters, if you will. That's that list we were talking about. My bad. I didn't even the criteria, the list, they call it a roster, which I imagine to be like an Excel spreadsheet of just all these different adjusters and their qualifications and information. So you get on these IA firms rosters, and then when a storm hits and they need help, you reach out to them like I did, or you wait for them to reach out to you. They send out text messages and emails and go from there.
Okay. And then in terms of the actual, like, you get a call to say that you get to go somewhere, right? Then you said now being able to work from home. So now you get the call, and now you're able to work from home.
Yeah, now you get the call, and a few days later, you're going to get a big box. It might be beat up from UPS, because I've gotten some beat up boxes. It's going to have 2 monitors and a desktop for you, everything you need to get started. They're going to provide all the equipment, because all of this is proprietary, and there's, some things they want to keep sacred. So they're going to provide you with the equipment to do your job. I did miss a step. When you get signed up with those IA firms, they're so invested in you as the adjuster, because, think about the relationship. You're how they make, their money. Right. So if you're not deployed or working, they're not getting any money from that situation. So they have different training. I utilize their training to get certifications. That's how I got certified. So that's what the adjuster would do.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Just connecting the dots, so they see that, and then now, how long does it usually take, like between when they first send you on the stuff to completing it, the first one?
What? I'm sorry. Restate that. What do you mean?
So the claim that you may receive.
Okay.
The first task that you have.
Yeah.
How long does that usually take? I know you said possibly 10-hour days, 7-day,
right.
7-day weeks, but is there like?
So. How it works is, all right, so you get signed in the system. When you get into a deployment, your first couple of days are going to be, they're basically going to take you through this crash course of their system, just tell you a lot of things, and they're going to tell you about the storm, what they're doing now, some different things that are going on with laws. But you start getting into the system. Once you get in the system, you meet with your team manager. They're going to start assigning you claims. They may start assigning you a few in the system at a time. just depending on the load. But you get those new claims and you start working them. And there's a methodology for working claims. You know what? Now that I'm really talking about this is my first time talking on an interview about adjusting. This sounds really insane, especially to the newbie. I think the new person coming in as I'm trying to explain it to you. Because when you really first come into this industry, I didn't really know what I was doing at first. And I hate to admit that, but it's really a trial by fire thing in this industry. So you have some minimal training from, the certifications and actually the licensing, but you kind of get thrown in and you make it work, and the IA firms will be there to assist you. But yeah, you start getting those claims coming in, you start working.
So even as, an independent being in the title, there's still some help along the way.
Yes, there's some help. Some help.
No, I know. I picked up on that. The hesitation. Some, yeah. I picked up on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be appalling if I let the public know how how it can be sometimes.
I get it.
Yeah.
But either way, it's just the idea of like, if you really want to get started, it has to be you, right? That puts in the work and everything like that. So
yeah.
Well, so there's a process, right, of how to, from A to Z, step one to where we are now. So I will say this, right? When we talk about your overall journey and being an author early on as you continue throughout your process, even starting out in AA 2017, just to where you are now, what you wish you knew then versus what you know now, and seeing other people's success, letting that motivate you as well to fund your own projects that you care even more about, right? The reason why I kind of package all of that together because it leads into my final question for you. And that question is a question that I ask everyone on Defining Legacy. How do you want to be remembered?
So they say the highest level of consciousness is enlightenment. So if I could just enlighten the most people I can, I don't even want to put a number on it. I just want to be known as a person that brought the information. I'm the messenger. That's how I'd like to be known.
That's real. And I get a lot of different types of answers. Some people go the money route, some people go the family route, some people just want to be known as a good person. But I think it's important for us to pause some time and just really identify that and just really think about it, because it's as important as money and financial literacy is. I think again, what we've all learned from this pandemic is that life really is not promised. So
True.
Yeah. But if you would like though to appreciate you for being on the show, of course. But if you would like, just drop your social media, where people can find you, anything of that nature. I know you mentioned you have something coming up, so I'll let you kind of go more into detail about that. So feel free to run wild with the promo.
Okay. Well, first I want to say it's been great being here. It's been an honor. You can find me. I'm Solae Dehvine on most social media. Solae Dehvine. You can find me at solaedehvine.com. I'm on YouTube, TikTok, all of that. But on TikTok, I'm Right to Live, WRITE, the number 2, live. Got a podcast, Adjust Your Way to 100K. Adjust Your Way to 100K, the book, will be out once this gets aired. And then you can go to 100kadjuster.com to take the free webinar, get more information about the adjusting field, and then you could maybe pick up the strategy that I have for getting into this industry and maneuvering through into this lucrative career.
Yeah. And the thing is too, with this being an industry that we mentioned when we first started this episode, no degree, good money, and it's also quick. It's definitely something that people can tap into.
Yeah.
Do you have any final words for the lovely people of Defining Legacy that you want to leave us with?
Yeah, I think about the name of the, my podcast and all that, Adjust Your Way to 100K. And I'm glad that we're talking about financial, the legacy, literacy, and all of that. But once you start making a large amount of money, you'll see that like $100,000 after taxes, that turns into a different number. And, your cost of living is going up. That's a different number. I just want everybody to look at what you're making and then start asking yourself questions. And they say that people that have a financial advisor, ask for help, make more money, retain more money. adjusting your way to 100K into these large amounts of money, it's multifaceted. So I think my final thoughts are just we just got to keep exploring and keep getting more knowledge about what we're doing. Just because we're doing things and we think we're okay, or this is the way we've been doing it, or such and such is doing it, just explore how you could do better and do more.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's good advice,
Yeah.
run it up and, understand that you have your own path, don't compare yourself to anyone, and
No doubt.
your
Yeah.
story is that you mentioned how too there's young people that can get started and there's people that have maybe a little bit more experience. I think you said the average age was like 56. And
Yeah.
so I think like just to put it in perspective for most, young people, it's like you're probably a lot further than you probably realize. I think sometimes, people put a lot of pressure on themselves and things like, oh, not a billionaire yet. Oh, yeah, you're like 22. Like most, like a lot of this stuff just takes time. But at the same time, don't be lazy. No, don't just wait, but like just,
I've got young nephews, right? And just observing them, there's a lot of things that people go through in childhood, and you may have picked up on something or heard something and taken it away that isn't conducive for you now as an adult. And it takes a lot of work to get out of that. Yeah. And that's why I say every entrepreneur should go to therapy, because you don't know what you don't know, especially about yourself sometimes. That's amazing to hear. But I think I started making more money when I started going to therapy. So if anybody thinks about, okay, I want to be a billionaire, I want to do this, I want to have this, start with yourself first. You start with your mind and the mental blocks, the money will come.
How do you feel about that statement though? Like in order to like, attain wealth, it all starts with the mind. Because, early on, I think that gets said so often, but if you're in a certain situation, you realize that like my mentality ain't paying the bills. So again, I think, first of all, I think that statement is true. But I think depending on where you're at in life, that's not what you always want to hear. So
no, you don't want to hear that at all. Like,
I'm saying, like just
that'll piss you off if somebody tells you that if you're starving, you need some money, and they're like, you need to change your mindset. Read this book. I get it, and I know you may not want to hear it, but once you get past not wanting to hear it, it's the truth. Mm-hmm. And everything that I have right now isn't a culmination of what I did this morning. It's a culmination of some stuff I did 5 years ago, changing my mindset. So it's not the quick answer. It's not, it's not glamorous. It's not something to talk about. I think we've made it more glamorous with social media to be more, in tune with yourself, but there's a lot of work and it's hard, and there's no trophies, So yeah, I understand. No, it's not the right answer you want to hear all the time.
No, yeah. And like I said, I think we both agree on this. Like it is true. Like I wholeheartedly believe that, believing that you can make money really is the first step. Because a lot of people don't really think they can. As crazy as that might sound, like the idea of making it is maybe like a foreign concept. Like, oh no, I can't do that. But it starts. I look like this. It starts with what you think, and then from there, it's like, all right, you need some actual currency to, make it a reality.
When something's new, it seems harder than what it really is. Yeah. And there's like some science around the perception of things, like, even emotionally and hormonally in your body, different things are happening when you're doing something new. So it may seem hard. And I think when you're young, you sort of like have this perception when things are hard, like, I don't want to do it. I'm not gonna say just older, but I'd say to the younger people. I'm talking to my nephews. That's what I'm talking to. When it gets hard, press down more. Press down more. That's just what it is. It's not time to back off. It's time to press down and focus. So that's what I would say. Yeah, they're young. They're not early 20s. Yeah,
that's right. But though, like even in being young, I think it's important to be exposed. How young, if you don't mind me asking? Like, are we talking like 21 or like?
Oh, so my gosh, my oldest nephew is 25. It's hard to say. But I have nephews that are the span from 25 on down. They're the younger ones are now in their teenagers, But if you don't have someone that's pushing you and tells you that things are hard, you kind of give up a little more easier. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I think it's, it's situation, conversation like this where people have to see, regardless of age, other people that look like us are doing amazing things. Because I'll be honest, if I had to choose between being a millionaire at the age of like, let's say 60 versus being a millionaire in my 20s, I would go with the 20-year, route. And the only reason why I say that is because I think there's this belief that like you have to wait to be a certain age to, do great things. And that's not true at all.
Oh, no, not at all. Yeah, I agree with you.
You just can't really let your age stop you. But definitely, like I said, appreciate you again for being on the show. On the Define Your Legacy front, y'all, make sure you subscribe to Theus Elijah on YouTube. All right, smash that subscribe button. Okay, follow and subscribe to Define Legacy on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify. Follow Define Your Legacy, all right, on Instagram, Define Your Legacy _ on Instagram, as well as Define Legacy on Facebook, DYL Podcast on Twitter, and last but not least, everyone's favorite app, TikTok. All right.
Yeah.
Theus Elijah on TikTok. Okay. And just like that, y'all, you already know. Appreciate y'all again. Feel free to check out the online store and the link in the description of this episode. And just like that, we gone. Peace.